Ladies and gentlemen, there are certain personalities in this world that thrive on manipulation, control, and admiration. Not because they are strong, but because they are deeply broken. We call them narcissists. And I came to tell you today, not how to fight them with fists, but how to disarm them with character. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming your power. It's not about punishment, it's about rising so high that their games no longer reach you. You don't defeat a narcissist by stooping to their level. You torture a narcissist by mastering yourself. So let me give you 5 ways to do just that, but when dealing with a narcissist. One of the most powerful and strategic decisions you can make is to withhold your emotional reaction. This may sound simple, but it is in fact one of the most disciplined and transformative actions you can take. Narcissists are not nourished by kindness or peace. They are fed by chaos. They thrive in emotional storms, your frustration, your anger, your tears. These reactions validate their control over you. The more they can manipulate your emotional state, the more powerful they feel. But when you choose not to react emotionally, you disrupt their entire system of power. Silence, calmness, and detachment are not signs of weakness. They are signs of a person who has reclaimed their center. When you refuse to react, you shift the balance of power. The narcissist expects you to explode, to defend yourself, to fall apart. They want to provoke, to pull you into their web, and then point to your emotional response as justification for their manipulation. When you stay composed, you starve their ego. You refuse to play the part they've written for you. Emotional reaction is the currency that fuels a narcissist's ego. Every time you argue back, raise your voice, cry in confusion, or beg for understanding, you are handing them a form of currency they know how to spend. They use your emotions to keep you off balance, to gaslight, and to assert dominance. But the moment you stop reacting, when you meet their provocation with stillness, you change the dynamic completely. You are no longer a participant in their drama, you become an observer. And that terrifies them, because it means they are losing their grip. Learning not to react emotionally doesn't mean you deny your feelings. It means you choose not to hand those feelings over to someone who will exploit them. You learn to process your emotions in a safe space, through prayer, through journaling, through therapy, through trusted relationships. But you do not give that power to the narcissist. They haven't earned it, and they cannot be trusted with it. It takes discipline to pause, to breathe, to say nothing when every part of your soul wants to shout. It takes maturity to choose peace over retaliation. It takes strength to walk away when staying would only feed the fire. But understand this, every moment you maintain your emotional control, you are building a wall the narcissist cannot climb. You are creating a boundary they cannot cross. And eventually they will have no choice but to retreat, because the environment you've created no longer feeds their sickness. Narcissists are drawn to emotional intensity, not because they love deeply, but because they are empty inside. They use drama to feel alive. When you are calm, when you speak slowly, when you refuse to be pulled into their chaos, it's like holding up a mirror to their dysfunction. They see themselves not as powerful manipulators, but as helpless children throwing tantrums. And the truth is, most of them can't stand that reflection. There is wisdom in restraint. There is dignity in silence. There is power in self-control. The less you react, the more clearly you will see. You will begin to discern the manipulation for what it is. You will start to realize that their words are not truths, they are tactics. Their accusations are not revelations, they are projections. Their charm is not sincerity, it's strategy. And the more you see, the more empowered you become. Choosing not to react emotionally is not about suppressing your humanity. It's about protecting your destiny. It's about stepping into a higher version of yourself, one that no longer bows to manipulation, one that no longer seeks validation from broken people. It's about reclaiming your voice, not to shout, but to speak with wisdom, not to lash out, to declare truth. So next time the narcissist comes with bait, trying to provoke, guilt, or confuse you, pause. Breathe. And remember, you are not who they say you are. You are not defined by their games. You are defined by your purpose. And if your peace torments their chaos, then so be it. Let your calm be the storm they cannot weather. There is no louder message to a narcissist than your silence. There is no greater punishment than your peace. There is no deeper wound to their ego than your refusal to dance to their tune. So guard your emotions, keep your power, and walk in the strength of emotional stillness. You owe no one your reaction, and that, my friend, is the first step to freedom. Setting and enforcing boundaries when dealing with a narcissist is not just a form of self-care. It is a declaration of personal worth. Narcissists thrive in environments where limits do not exist. They prey on people who are generous with their time, attention, and empathy. They test the waters slowly, pushing further with every interaction, observing how much you'll tolerate, how often you'll bend, and how easily you'll justify their behavior. The absence of clear boundaries gives them a license to manipulate. But once you draw the line and keep it, you begin the process of breaking their control. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It is a gate that filters what comes into your life. It defines what is acceptable and what is not. It communicates who you are and what you allow. For a narcissist, boundaries are an obstacle to their goal: control. They interpret your limits as defiance because your no tells them they no longer have unrestricted access to your life. And for someone who is addicted to dominance and admiration, losing that access feels like rejection. But here is the truth. Your boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. They do not exist to punish anyone. They exist to protect you. You are not obligated to be emotionally available to someone who drains your spirit. You are not required to explain your worth to someone who constantly tries to diminish it. And you are not responsible for making a narcissist feel comfortable in their dysfunction. Setting a boundary is only the first step. Enforcing it is where your strength is tested. Narcissists are masters of manipulation. When you begin to establish boundaries, they will test them immediately. They will gaslight you, guilt trip you, charm you, or provoke you in an attempt to get you to lower your guard. They might accuse you of being cold, unforgiving, or selfish. But none of these reactions are about you. They are about their fear of losing control. To enforce a boundary, you must first be rooted in your identity. You must understand that your value is not determined by how others treat you, but by the truth of who you are. When you say your no and mean it, you reinforce your self-respect. When you limit communication, walk away from toxicity, or refuse to argue, send a powerful message. I know who I am, and I refuse to be mistreated. This process is not always easy. It may require walking away from relationships that once felt essential. It may mean saying goodbye to people you hoped would change. It might even make you feel alone for a season. But what you gain in return is far greater: peace, clarity, and the space to heal and grow. Enforcing boundaries also means being consistent. You cannot set a standard one day and abandon it the next because the narcissist promised to change or showed a glimpse of kindness. Narcissists often use intermittent reinforcement, occasional affection, false apologies, or brief periods of good behavior to keep you hooked. But change that is not sustained is manipulation in disguise. You must watch what they do, not what they say. Boundaries also require consequences. If someone crosses your line, you must be willing to respond, not with anger, but with resolve. If you say you won't accept yelling and they yell, you end the conversation. If you say you won't allow disrespect and they insult you, you walk away. These actions reinforce your words. They show that your boundaries are not suggestions, they are standards. One of the most liberating truths you will ever embrace is that you are allowed to protect your peace. You are not difficult for refusing to be mistreated. You are not selfish for needing space. You are not wrong for valuing your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. These are the signs of a person who is waking up to their worth. Eventually, a narcissist will do one of two things when faced with consistent boundaries. They will either escalate in an attempt to regain control, or they will move on to someone else who is easier to manipulate. Either way, you win. Because the purpose of boundaries is not to fix the narcissist. It is to free yourself. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You cannot grow in the soil of manipulation and control. But the moment you plant the seeds of self-respect, when you define what is and isn't acceptable, you begin to cultivate a life where your soul can breathe again. Boundaries are the language of self-love. They are the evidence that you are no longer willing to be held hostage by someone else's dysfunction. They remind you that your life is sacred ground and not everyone deserves access to it. When you live by that truth, you not only protect yourself from the narcissist, you also inspire others to do the same. So don't be afraid to set your standards high. Don't apologize for requiring respect. And don't shrink to make room for someone who only grows by diminishing you. Stand firm. Stay clear. And know that every time you choose your peace over their chaos, you are winning a battle most people never dare to fight. Thriving independently in the aftermath of a relationship with a narcissist is both an act of healing and a declaration of personal power. Narcissists often build relationships around control, dependency, and emotional entanglement. They position themselves as the center of your world, convincing you, subtly or directly, strength and happiness revolve around them. Breaking that illusion is the beginning of freedom, but learning to thrive on your own is the proof that you are truly free. For many who have been in the grip of a narcissistic relationship, independence can feel unfamiliar, even frightening. You may have spent so much time catering to someone else's moods, needs, and ego that you've forgotten what it feels like to make decisions for yourself, based on your own desires and intuition. But the beauty of thriving independently is that it reconnects you with the person you were before the manipulation began, the version of you that was strong, capable, and whole. Independence is not isolation. It is not about building walls to keep everyone out. It is about learning to stand on your own without needing validation from someone else to feel worthy. Narcissists thrive when others depend on them for affirmation. They inflate your sense of need while slowly depleting your sense of self. But when you begin to affirm yourself, when you begin to speak kindly to yourself, believe in your own voice, and act in your own best interest, they lose their grip on your mind. Thriving independently requires you to reclaim your identity. Who are you when no one is telling you? Who to be? What do you love? What makes you feel alive? What dreams did you bury while walking on eggshells to keep the narcissist satisfied? These are not just philosophical questions. They are the seeds of transformation. Reconnecting with your own values, interests, and purpose is how you begin to rebuild a life that is yours, not a life shaped by fear, guilt, or manipulation. It is also important to learn how to make decisions without second-guessing yourself. Narcissists often create an atmosphere where your instincts are dismissed or ridiculed. Over time, this erodes your confidence and makes you feel incapable of choosing wisely without their input. But the truth is, you are more than capable. You have wisdom, you have discernment. And every time you trust yourself and act with conviction, you silence the voices that once made you feel small. Thriving independently also means learning how to enjoy your own company. For those who have been emotionally entangled with a narcissist, being alone can feel uncomfortable at first. But there is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is rooted in a sense of lack. Solitude is rooted in strength. It is in moments of solitude that you learn to listen to yourself again, to hear your own thoughts, and to become your own advocate. As you begin to build a life of your own, it's crucial to surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and celebrate your growth. Community matters. The right people will not compete with your independence or feel threatened by your healing. They will honor your journey and encourage your progress. Choose relationships that are built on mutual respect, not dependency. The goal is not to live without connection, but to connect without losing yourself. Financial independence is another key aspect of thriving. Narcissists often use money as a means of control, either by making you dependent on them financially or by using finances as a way to manipulate your choices. Taking control of your financial life, whether that means creating a budget, pursuing new career goals, or simply learning how to manage your resources wisely, is one of the most empowering things you can do. It reinforces the message that you are capable of sustaining yourself without relying on anyone who seeks to use your needs against you. Emotional independence is perhaps the most liberating. It means learning how to regulate your emotions without relying on someone else to soothe or define them. It means you stop needing others to tell you who you are or how you should feel. You begin to notice your emotions, understand them, and respond with clarity instead of reactivity. That kind of self-mastery is something a narcissist cannot stand to see in you, because it means they no longer hold the key to your emotional world. You may stumble along the way. Healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong. Other days you may feel unsure. But every step you take in the direction of independence is a step away from manipulation, fear. You are not who you were when you were under their influence. You are wiser now, stronger, more grounded. To thrive independently is not just to survive your experience, it is to transcend it. It is to build a life so full of purpose, peace, and authenticity that the narcissist becomes a distant memory instead of a current influence. Your independence is your testimony. It says, I am no longer under your control. I choose my life, my path, my peace, and that is the ultimate freedom. Speaking the truth boldly, especially in the presence of a narcissist, is one of the most courageous acts a person can commit. Narcissists operate in a world built on illusion, crafted narratives, half-truths, and carefully controlled images. They thrive in environments where truth is doubted and people are too afraid, confused or manipulated to call things what they really are. But when you speak the truth plainly, without fear or apology, you disrupt that illusion. You bring clarity. You bring clarity. You bring clarity. You shine light in the places they desperately try to keep dark. The reason truth is so threatening to a narcissist is because it exposes the gap between who they pretend to be and who they really are. It strips away their masks. And when you're dealing with someone whose entire identity is rooted in a false image, exposure feels like destruction. That's why they will often respond to truth with rage, denial, or blame. They will twist your words, question your memory, or try to discredit your perspective. But don't let that shake you. Truth does not need to be defended with force. It just needs to be spoken with clarity and courage. One of the first steps to speaking the truth boldly is understanding that your voice matters. If you've been entangled with a narcissist, you may have been conditioned to believe that your perception is flawed, your words are too harsh, or your honesty is unkind. But that's a lie designed to keep you silent. Your truth is not too much. Your truth is not a weapon. Your truth is your freedom. And when you speak it, you reclaim your right to live in reality, not in someone else's fantasy. Speaking the truth boldly is not about yelling or becoming aggressive. It's not about trying to convince or control. Bold truth is calm. It is unshaken by reactions or threats. It says what I know. This is what I saw. This is what I will no longer accept. It doesn't argue. It doesn't argue. Simply stands. Simply stands. Simply stands. This kind of truth-telling begins with yourself. You cannot speak boldly to others if you are still lying to yourself. Acknowledge the moments you ignored red flags, excused abuse, or stayed silent out of fear. Forgive yourself for the times you played small to avoid conflict. And then commit to living in alignment with what you know to be real. Self-honesty is the foundation of external truth. You cannot stand in power if you are still compromising with falsehoods internally. There will be times when your truth makes others uncomfortable. Some people, especially narcissists, will accuse you of being dramatic, sensitive, or unforgiving. They will try to shame you back into silence. But understand this, your responsibility is not to make others comfortable. Your responsibility is to live in integrity. Bold truth is not concerned with preserving appearances. It is concerned with preserving your soul. There is a deep peace that comes with speaking the truth. It may cost you relationships, but it will restore your sanity. It may cause temporary chaos, but it will create long-term clarity. It may lead to loneliness for a season, but it will surround you with the right people in time. People who value honesty, who respect boundaries, and who live in alignment with what is real. Sometimes the boldest truth you can speak is simply naming what is happening, saying, this is manipulation. Or that was a lie. I am not okay with this. You don't need a long explanation. You don't need a perfect script. You just need the courage to stop pretending that dysfunction is normal. Truth does not require drama. It requires discernment and a steady heart. It's important to understand that speaking the truth doesn't always mean confronting the narcissist directly. Sometimes the boldest truth is how you live. It's how you walk away. It's how you stop engaging. It's how you stop explaining yourself to someone who isn't listening. Bold truth is also found in your boundaries, in your silence, in your refusal to participate in the lie any longer. The goal of bold truth is not revenge or control. It's freedom. It's about liberating yourself from confusion, denial, and emotional captivity. It's about walking in the light even if others choose to stay in the dark. And as you do, you begin to see everything more clearly. Who you are, what you want, and what you deserve. Truth can be uncomfortable, but it is never destructive. What truth destroys is illusion. What it dismantles is the lie that kept you bound. What it removes is the fog that made you doubt your own intuition. Truth clears the path for healing, and though it may shake everything at first, it will always settle you in a place of peace and authenticity. So speak the truth. Even if your voice trembles, even if no one agrees, even if the narcissist denies everything, speak it because your soul deserves honesty. Speak it because your healing depends on it. Speak it because the world doesn't change through silence. It changes when people choose to live out loud, without fear and without compromise. That's the power of bold truth. And it's yours to fulfill. Leaving a narcissist and choosing not to return is one of the most powerful decisions you will ever make. It's not just about walking away from a toxic relationship. It's about walking toward your healing, your freedom, and your true identity. Narcissists create cycles: charm, confusion, control, and then chaos. These cycles repeat because they are designed to keep you entangled. The moment you begin to step away, they sense the shift and will often do everything in their power to pull you back. But when you leave and truly don't return, you break that cycle for good. Leaving is not always physical at first. Sometimes the emotional and mental departure begins before you ever pack a bag or end the relationship. You stop believing the lies, you stop shrinking yourself to avoid conflict. You stop justifying behavior that is clearly destructive. That internal shift is where real freedom begins. You begin to see clearly, you begin to trust your instincts again. And when you make the final decision to leave, you are not just moving locations, you are reclaiming your life. One of the greatest challenges in leaving a narcissist is the pull to return. It's not just about love, it's about trauma bonding. Narcissists condition you to crave their approval, even when they've been the source of your pain. They use manipulation, guilt, and intermittent kindness to confuse your sense of reality. They may say they've changed, promise to do better, or even beg you to stay. But these are tactics, not transformation. Real change requires humility and consistent effort, qualities narcissists rarely possess. When you leave and don't return, you send a powerful message. You are no longer available for manipulation. You are no longer accessible for emotional games. You have recognized the pattern, and you've chosen not to play the role they assign. That decision disrupts their sense of control, and often they will retaliate through smear campaigns, silent treatments, or emotional plea. But none of that matters when you have already made peace with the truth. Leaving is not a betrayal of its loyalty to you. It is crucial to understand that leaving is not about hate or bitterness. It's about survival. It's about healing the parts of yourself that were broken in the relationship. It's about rediscovering who you are when you are not being gaslit, undermined, or emotionally drained. Leaving is an act of self-respect. It's choosing your peace over their chaos. It's choosing growth over dysfunction. And that choice must be final, because narcissists thrive on second chances they never earn. The temptation to return can be strong, especially when loneliness creeps in or when you begin to romanticize the good moments. But those moments were not the full picture. They were fragments used to keep you hooked. Don't mistake breadcrumbs for a feast. Narcissists often love bomb you when they sense you pulling away. They suddenly remember your value, not because they cherish you, but because they fear losing their source of validation and control. Returning only resets the cycle. The pain will come again, often deeper than before. To truly leave and not return, you must commit to no contact or strict limited contact if circumstances like co-parenting demand it. Block the calls, delete the messages, do not check their social media, do not entertain conversations with mutual friends about their life. Every bit of information you absorb is a thread they can use to pull you back. Your energy, your attention, and your time must now be redirected to your healing. You owe yourself the opportunity to heal in peace. That means removing all access points the narcissist once used to get to your heart and mind. That means being honest with yourself about the damage that was done. Healing is not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about acknowledging the wounds and giving yourself the grace and space to recover. And you cannot heal fully in the same place where you were hurt. That's why you must leave and not return. As you walk away, you may grieve. That's normal. You may feel moments of doubt. That's human. But let those emotions pass through you without pulling you back. Remember why you left. Write it down if you need to. Revisit the pain if it helps you stay anchored in your truth. This is not weakness, it's wisdom. You are not just walking away from a person. You are walking away from a pattern that kept you bound. In time, you will rebuild, you will regain your strength. Your clarity will return. You will laugh freely again. You will love again, first yourself and eventually others who are capable of healthy, respectful, mutual connection. But none of that can happen if you keep revisiting a door that was meant to be closed. So leave and don't return. Not because you're angry, not because you want revenge, but because your life is too valuable to be wasted in a cycle of emotional abuse. You deserve peace. You deserve love that doesn't hurt. You deserve the kind of life where you are free to be fully yourself. Apologetically, powerfully, joyfully whole, striking us a way of breaking us open. But in that breaking lies a hidden invitation. It invites us to dig deeper, to reflect, to find meaning beyond the suffering. When you've been hurt, especially by someone as manipulative and emotionally destructive as a narcissist, the pain can feel all-consuming. It can make you question your worth, your judgment, even your ability to trust again. But pain is not the end of the story. In fact, pain is often the beginning of something much greater. Purpose. What once felt like a burden can become a mission. What once seemed like defeat can turn into the very reason you rise. Transforming your pain into purpose is not about denying what happened. It's not about minimizing the abuse, pretending to be okay, or rushing through grief. It's about honoring your story and asking a bold question. What now? You can't go back and change what you endured, but you can choose what you do with it. Your pain does not have to define you. It can shape you, yes, but it can also empower you, enlighten you, and strengthen the resolve that was forged in the fire. The first step in turning pain to purpose is owning it, not hiding it, not dressing it up, but calling it by its name. You were lied to, you were used. You were emotionally manipulated. You were gaslit and made to feel small. That happened. Denying it only delays healing. But when you look at your pain directly, without shame, you begin to take back your power. You shift from being a passive victim of your story to an active author of your pain becomes purpose when you decide it will not be wasted. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of confusion, it all carries potential. Your story can become a bridge for someone else who feels alone. Your healing can become hope for someone who is still stuck. You don't have to stand on a stage or write a book to live with purpose. Sometimes it's as simple as being a light in a dark place, offering a kind word, setting an example, living as proof that healing is possible. Purpose isn't just about helping others, it's also about growing into the best version of yourself. Pain has a way of revealing things we might never have seen without it. It shows us what we truly value, who we really are, and what we refuse to tolerate going forward. When you've been deeply hurt, you often emerge with new clarity. You stop settling for less. You stop entertaining toxicity. You start seeking peace, authenticity, and alignment with your truth. That alone is a powerful transformation. Many people try to avoid pain by numbing it through distractions, denial, or jumping into new relationships too quickly. But real purpose is found by walking through pain, not around it. Feel it, learn from it. Let it teach you what boundaries need to be set. Let it show you what parts of you still need attention and care. Let it refine you, not define you. When you do this work, you don't just survive the pain, you rise from it. There comes a point in the healing process when you realize the narcissist no longer has power over you, not because they changed, but because you did. That shift is where purpose lives. The moment you stop asking why they hurt you and start asking how you can grow from it is the moment you begin to take ownership of your life again. They no longer control the narrative. You do. Purpose gives your pain direction. Without it, you risk being stuck in cycles of bitterness or regret. But when you harness your pain and use it as fuel, you create something beautiful from the ashes. Maybe you start a support group. Maybe you mentor someone else who's struggling. Maybe you simply live with so much strength and self-respect that others are inspired to do the same. However it looks, your purpose becomes a lighthouse for you and for others. This transformation isn't quick or easy. It takes time, takes patience. It's a willingness to be honest about where you are and what you need, but it is worth it. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the pain didn't destroy you. It woke you up. It called you higher. It refined your character. It clarified your mission. And it gave you a voice that can speak with wisdom and authority because it was birthed in truth. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect before you start living with purpose. Start where you are. Use what you've learned. Share what you've gained. And never underestimate the impact of simply showing up fully in your own life. That in itself is an act of purpose. Living intentionally, healing loudly, and refusing to let pain have the final word. So let the pain push you. Let it stretch you. Let it lead you to places you never imagined. Not because you asked for it, but because you refuse to be broken by it. When you turn your pain into purpose, you don't just heal, you transform. And in that transformation, you become unstoppable.